Personal space is a major concern for college students because they want their space to be able to learn better. Some of the desks in the classrooms are either too small or they do not provide enough space for students to work in. However, some of the tables and desks work well and provide enough personal space. The tables in room 2R8 are not good for personal space at all because the seats are too close together. As you can see in the picture, the seats are touching without the students even sitting in them. When students sit in them, their legs and feet are likely to touch with other students, which is not good. If students are cramped into a seat, they will find it hard to learn because they will be very uncomfortable. These are not appropriate for college students whatsoever and should be changed to either just regular tables or personal desks. The tables in room 2R1 are a great size because they give students enough area to have their books and such laid out and are still able to work in groups with other classmates. Each table is big enough for students to sit around and be comfortable. There's enough outlets and plugs for each student to use, so therefore students can really take full advantage of the personal space in this room. Other classrooms should consider using these tables in their rooms. Another option that is great is having personal seats that are able to be moved into larger areas for group work. An example of these are the seats in room 203. By having personal working areas for students, they will be able to have their own area to work in and have all their learning tools out and ready to go, with still having the option of working with other classmates when needed. These are great because they are movable and can easily be rearranged to how students prefer them. Other classrooms should also consider using these in their classrooms as well.
So in Olscamp, there are quite a few gathering spaces. They have set up the seating quite well in that regard. You can see here a long rectangular table, perfect for groups to get together, especially if you need a computer. There's several outlets around the furniture itself, 10 black tall chairs around the table, and instead of the seating on the carpeted area where you kind of have to sit back, this is a good way to sit up front, have a computer in front of you and be able to work, and it also has adequate space on the desk for your work. They also have study groups towards the back corner of Olscamp by the exit door to Ridge Street. You can see there's very technically advanced equipment. They have monitors, readily equipped with HDMI cords. Great place for groups not only to work together but have an area to themselves. They can, not feel bad about speaking loudly if anyone else is studying outside, but they actually have their own room to do their work. This is the main seating area. One of the gathering spaces you can see is where people usually get together and they can do some reading. They don't have too many desks available. They have 2 of those circular tables, and then the large seats you can see. One section has fully gray seats and the one adjacent to it has the orange seats. It does bring a little bit of the school colors in as well. This is one of the main gathering areas. Typically what I see here is individuals waiting after class or waiting for class to get out, maybe finishing some homework in time for their class to begin. You can also see a monitor here which has the HDMI cables readily available as well. So you can see how technology is brought together. You can see how the seating is used efficiently as it was planned.
An observation that our group would like to point out is the fact that the highly used social gathering spaces are the ones that are centered around food. The Union and the library both offer food options for students and are highly used. We believe that if the university were to add some sort of shop or cafeteria-like option inside Olscamp Hall, then these social gathering spaces would be utilized much more. The only place for students to go get food now is at a couple of vending machines on the first floor. By considering adding food options to Olscamp could increase the amount of time students spend utilizing these social gathering spaces.
I personally like the new spacing of the new rooms in Olscamp. Starting with room 208, I thought that the room had good space. I like the fact that it had desktops with whiteboards, and it was very spacious to move around the room. I also like that there was room in the back to sit on couches. The one thing that I would change, that I would recommend, is the changing of the desk shape to a round desk. I think that this would allow the classroom to hold more students at each station, which would increase density, and it would still have a spacious layout. I think that would benefit BG's plan of holding more students in each classroom and give them still a very spacious layout and a good learning experience. In room 203, I have a class in there right now, and I personally don't like it. I think it's hard to move around to and from the door. It seems really cramped getting to my seat and leaving. I think that getting rid of 10 chairs, 10 desks would make it a lot easier to maneuver around the room. It's not like room 201. It's very, very close. I'm very close to the person next to me, and it's really hard to move around. So by getting rid of 10 chairs would increase the maneuverability in the classroom and still allow a lot of students to be in that classroom. In our current classroom, room 201, I personally like it. I think that is a very good open line of sight. I can see who's talking across the room, which I really like. It's very spacious, very open. The classroom can definitely hold more students with the right planning. I would recommend to add another station at the front of the room. This would allow more students in class and still keep the line of sight open.
The main benefit I see with the furniture outside the classrooms is there's plenty of options. You saw that there was large chairs readily available in the carpeted area. If you wanted to, do some reading or get together with a few classmates and hang out. They also have more of the desk seating with the chairs, or if you wanted to, actually do some homework on a computer, if you needed to have a desk space in front of you to put something on. So people all have different needs, as you can see here. There's some people that like to have the desk, some people that are going just to do some reading, but there's almost a possible option for just about anybody who needs to utilize the Servicescape. One thing I would recommend, because the orange section seating that is actually new, it has cluttered the area a little bit, so when the seats are full, which I haven't quite seen yet, but it would clutter quite a bit, so maybe replacing some of those seats with the standing tables that would be very small, very slim, and it would be a nice gathering place for students that typically do socialize and stand at the same time. Another benefit I think would be just because the only orange that I noticed was on the L-shaped counter bar top and in the section that is in the carpeted area. I think adding some more orange color to other furniture would be a good idea, because it kind of ties together the Bowling Green State University brand that we have, and it adds to the school spirit. Also, maybe the mobility of the seats, just like in the classrooms, having some wheels on seats will make it easier to move around and kind of get close to your group. But the furniture is very modern, new, it's trendy. The individual chairs are great as well, so you can kind of sit by yourself. But I think having a connected desk on those individual seats would be a great idea as well, to have your own workspace.
The final aspect of our Servicescape case study is the interior windows. These are the windows that do not face the outside of the building, but rather face the interior of the building, such as facing the hallway as seen in the video here. These windows can be very distracting, especially to students whose desks face the door, because the students are walking past this window, and if a student is facing the door and looking at the screen, as seen by this view taken from my particular seat here, these people walking to and from class can be very distracting and take the focus off of the screen, which is the material that the teacher is trying to cover at this time. I suggest that these windows be covered in some aspect in order to decrease the distractions, whether it is by frosting the windows halfway up, or adding blinds, or some sort of window decal that promotes school spirit. I feel like something should be done in order to allow light to be let into the room without being able to see what is happening in the hallway. Many students like to congregate in the hallway while waiting for classes, and as you can see in this video here, this is the view they would most likely see. Many students want to be able to look inside a classroom and see if the teacher is done teaching so they can go in and find their seat. But when you've got 15 to 20 students sitting in the hallway waiting for a class to get out, and a student who is sitting at the chair that is facing the door, this is very distracting. So by frosting the windows or doing some sort of way to allow students to see in the windows from the hallway but without allowing the students sitting inside the classroom to see out would be the best solution in this instance.